Welcome to Stopping Goliath. My name is J Kimmel. If you're not familiar with me, check out my intro video. That'll tell you a little bit more about me so that you can understand where I'm coming from. But for right now, let's jump straight into this topic because I am just, this topic's killing me. This week in the Christian Post, a study was talked about regarding Gen Z. You know, that's the folks that are now between 13 and 24 years old. There'll be a link to the article in the description. And, you know, these people, this group, this age are believing things that just, for the rest of us who are older, who are from different generations, really just don't make sense. So, for example, this generation does not believe in unrestrained free speech. Free speech has actually become a bad thing and something that many people in this generation believe should be contained, restrained. And so they don't believe in unrestrained free speech, which is certainly very different than what my generation and the generations before me and you believed. 25% of them actually say they have very little tolerance for people with different beliefs than they have. That's 1 in 4. 1 in 4 people say they have very little tolerance for people with different beliefs. And nearly half Gen Zers believe that canceling people is a good thing, that some people deserve to be canceled. If someone doesn't agree with you, if you're not sure what that really means, you've probably heard that word, being canceled. Maybe you don't know what that really means. Being canceled is when you disagree with culture, you disagree with the mainstream, and so you no longer should have the right to be heard. They're going to shut down your social media. They're going to do everything they can to silence you. You shouldn't be heard at all, according to them. And nearly half of the folks in Gen Z believe that some people should be canceled. But this is the most shocking stat that came out of this article than all the others to me. 52%. That's more than half. 52% of people between 13 and 24 believe there are more than 2 genders. How in the world did we get here? You know, the notion of there being more than 2 genders, this is a very new idea. This is not something that's been around for thousands of years, regardless of what the internet says. And by the way, I went hunting. What does the internet say is the origin of the idea of more than 2 genders? And I went through page after page after page. I mean, literally like 10 pages of Google before I could find anything that was counter to culture, which was that there's always been more than 2 genders. There have not been. Honestly, maybe 15 years has there been any conversation about this idea that there's more than 2 genders. And it started with hermaphrodites. There are people who are born with both male and female genitalia. And somehow that idea, the idea that some people were born as an anomaly with both sets of genitals, that somehow that was a basis for a new gender, okay? And that's simply not the case. And by the way, most of them end up being either male or female in every other respect. They simply have it really amounts to a birth defect. Think about human beings. Human beings have 2 arms. I mean, that's how you would define a human being. A human being would be a being with 2 arms. That would be part of how you would define us. If someone's born with 1 arm or no arms, that doesn't discount the fact that humans have 2 arms. It just means there was an anomaly at birth. And so, you know, this whole thing gets kicked off. And about 15 years ago, I think what really happened is those of us who heard this idea that there's male and female and something else, and maybe even several different something else's, I think we just thought it was ludicrous. We thought that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. And so we discounted it. We didn't pay any attention to it. And I really believe that those of us who are Christians, who read the Bible, who believe the Bible, and have taught it to their kids, I think we believed that our kids would understand better. Bible is super clear. God created Adam and God created Eve, man and woman, male and female. God created all the animals, male and female. The biblical view on this ideology is extraordinarily clear. And I think we thought, you know what, our kids are in church every week, they'll know the truth. And so, quite frankly, I think we just kind of sort of blew it off. And for those secular parents who heard this idea that there were more than two genders, I think they kind of did the same thing. They may not have been Christians, but they said, you know what, the science on this, super clear. There is no way you could prove scientifically that there's anything other than male and female. You know, if we dig up a dead person, an anthropologist, a doctor, quite frankly, even lay people can usually tell by looking at the skeleton that it's male or female. And a researcher certainly can. Somebody who knows what they're looking for can know immediately this skeleton belonged to a male or a female. It's really not that tough. And so this idea that there are other genders, quite frankly, is just simply not true. But how were we all so wrong? How did we let this get where it is? How in the world did we go from, of course there's only two genders, to this place where culture believes that there not only are more than two genders, but God forbid, if you disagree, you're a bigot, you're cruel, you are, they say terrible things, and then they want to silence you. There will absolutely not be any debate over this topic. You need to be canceled. I promise you, there are people who will see this video and say, that guy, that J Kimmel guy, he needs to be canceled. His idea that there are more than two genders, or that there are only two genders, is dangerous. So what now? What can we do since we find ourselves here? It's too late to stop our kids from believing what they believe. The truth is, we're past that. So what can we do now? The first thing we need to do is pray. You know, our enemy, the devil, is unbelievably good at what he does. He is very, very convincing. And he has more than half of the people we love between 13 and 24 in a place where they're believing something that's not true. So the very first thing we can do is pray. We should be praying for them, for their eyes to be opened, that they would not be deceived by what culture is telling them, but simply open their eyes to the truth. And for those of us who have those people we love who are Christians, we can lead them right to the Bible. And quite frankly, even if the person you love isn't a Christian, science is clear. People are male or female. We can lead them to the truth. The second thing that we can do is make sure that those you know who you love know the truth. Tell them. Don't assume that they know the truth or believe the truth. I wish it weren't true, but I'll bet you if you start talking to your kids and your grandkids, you'll be shocked at what they believe on this subject. So make sure you tell the ones you love what the truth is. Third, speak up. Don't shy away from this conversation. The truth is, it's silence that got us where we are now. If we'd have spoken up a decade ago, I don't think we'd be here, but we didn't. We let it go. So speak up. Now, I understand You might not want to get canceled. Believe me, I get it. When we decided to launch Stopping Goliath, we talked long and hard about what the repercussions and potential consequences are. I'm a pastor. I have a church. I have a business. How is this page going to affect? How are these videos going to affect our church, business, all of the organizations that I'm involved with that you'll be able to figure out? How's it going to affect them? We took all that into consideration before we started doing what we're doing now. So I get it. So if you aren't quite there yet, let us do the talking for you. You can like this video. You can share this video. You can subscribe to our channel. And of course, if you hit that notification bell, you'll know, hey, John's about to go live, or there's a new video available to watch. But most of all, you're going to get the word out. Now, at some point, they're going to figure out who we are and what we're saying, and they're going to try to shut us down. But with your help, we'll be so far out in front of them, they'll never get there. If you have any comments, any questions, maybe you want to know more about how you can share with your friends, share with your family. Love to have that conversation with you. Use the chat feature and reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Until our next video, take care and tell the truth.